Today's guest built a career around a single relentless standard: excellence in the cup every single time. Tim Adams is an Australian barista champion who never stopped asking what better looks like. This is Through Your Lens, and this is Tim Adams.
Tim Adams, welcome to the podcast.
I nearly fell asleep, Tom.
We just
Quite an intro.
that wasn't on camera, but for those watching, we start all our podcasts with 3 deep breaths, a bit of a meditation, and so we come into the podcast and space nice and zen. But we now dive into the deep end, which is usually my first question. Not always, but usually I think you're the right person to do this with.
Okay. Yeah.
That is, for you, what was one of the most difficult moments of your life? And looking back now, hopefully you're through that. Is there some blessings and learnings in that?
For sure. I mean, there's probably a couple of points or points in my life where I felt that I'm not really sure what to do and things might have been out of my control and my hand. But thankfully, my wife Katie and I got through it together and sort of used that as a massive learning and a reshape for the future. And I guess if that moment didn't actually happen, we wouldn't be chatting. And I guess that's the biggest reflection. It's like a bit like the 3 deep breaths, that you just did. And it's like, everything's going to be okay. Like at the end of the day, everything will be fine. Just work with it, work with the curveball. Yeah. And I think I will get to what happened. But I mean, for me, it was a case of I can get through this and get on the other side of it. Whatever comes at me, and I'll tackle each obstacle as they come. And I think it sort of allowed me to really become a better business person, a better mentor for people within my industry, our customers, our customer base, and also just as a better person. It's like, you had the shit kicked out of you, but you come out of the end of it really well, and here we are. So when I competed in 2009, so I made a decision to jump into barista competitions and really, I guess, use that as a way to educate myself in coffee, because I kind of fell into the job initially, and because of that, I was still quite raw on the finer details of specialty coffee. And the difference between specialty coffee and commercial coffee is there's a massive difference. So, and it comes down to the raw product essentially. So how well is that, coffee graded as a specialty product?
Okay.
Commercial coffee grades 80 points, and below out of 100, actually 79 and below out of 100 on a worldwide, scale. Yeah. And specialty coffee is 80 points up to 100. Okay, so the higher the number, the better quality. So I was working at the time with a commercial roaster, and that meant that there was a lot more nuances out there that I knew I needed to learn about. So entering a specialty coffee competition was I thought a good vehicle. What I didn't really realize is that I probably should have entered it with the specialty coffee, not the commercial product that I was associated with.
Right.
So actually, when I won the Australian Barista Championship...
So hang on, this is your first competition ever gone into, or you've tried a few before?
No. Well, in 2009, when I won the Australian title, I competed the year before, but I was only on stage once.
Okay.
So I did the Australian comp, but it was more of a wild card sort of entry where and it was my very first attempt. So
yeah,
I was quite, I was winging it, and I didn't have any like big support network behind me at that time. It was just I had to figure it out for myself.
You have someone in your corner.
My wife did, but she didn't know anything about coffee, so it was like, well, I'll figure it out and to train myself and train in my garage and set up an old machine in my garage and go from there, I guess.
Wow. So take us into the world of competitive barista championships. Like, what does it look like? What do they judge on? How do you win it? Well,
it's judged on, obviously the taste of the coffee is first and foremost. So you make 3 beverages and you make 4 of those. So you got 4 judges and you make a beverage for each judge. So 4 espressos.
Yep.
4 cappuccinos in a traditional sense. So that the vessel has to be no more than 150 mils. in no less than 150 mils, and then a single shot of espresso needs to be put into those, and then you texture milk, pour it beautifully. It has to look and present well. It has to have a perfect ring of crema on top, with a little bit of white milk texture sitting there, either with or without latte art, your choice.
Yep. Extra points for the latte art?
Yes, but in those days, the judges are really focusing on the level of milk foam, the quality of the milk foam,
Sure.
and then the flavor profile through the milk.
Okay.
So it's very important. So you could use a different coffee for the espresso and the milk-based, or, traditional cappuccino. When I say traditional, it means no chocolate.
Okay.
So it's just straight.
Yep.
Essentially like a latte, but in a small cup.
Okay.
If you bit more picked it, I guess. But yeah.
Yep.
And then you create a signature drink.
Okay.
So the signature drink can be anything you want. You can cook. Or what I did at the Worlds, I actually the Australian title in 2009 as I made a raspberry licorice reduction on stage.
Okay.
And then I made a chocolate hazelnut ganache, like a chocolate sauce on stage,
Right.
and then laid the raspberry licorice, the chocolate, and then the espresso on top.
Okay.
So once you had
move.
sorry?
Nice move. Something that would stand out. as a bit different, yeah.
Lovely flavors. Like, who doesn't love raspberry chocolate coffee? Like, it's just a nice combination.
And you're a chef. You've got a chef background.
I'm a qualified chef as well, yes. So that came in handy.
Great.
Licorice root and a raspberry reduction in one pan, and then a hazelnut infused chocolate ganache in the other, and a really nice shot of espresso. So,
and that's what won you the...
so those drinks won me the Australian title.
Yeah.
So you've got to present them to 4 judges. Amongst that, you've got a sensory evaluation, which is the first and foremost thing. Then how does it taste as an espresso? How does the color look? How does the depth look? How does the tactile, the mouthfeel, the sweetness, the acidity?
Yeah.
It's all got to be in balance and harmony. What are the key flavor profiles? Does it taste like raspberry? Does it taste like dark chocolate? Does it taste like blackberry, blueberry? What's the flavor?
Yeah.
So whatever you say to the judge, if it meets that criteria of what you actually said it tastes like, and they can taste it, you get obviously elevated points.
Yes.
If it doesn't, you get marked down.
Yeah.
Milk-based has to have a dominant taste of coffee coming through. It's going to be a good balance between the milk and the coffee.
I hate a milky coffee.
Sorry.
I hate a milky coffee.
Oh, you did?
I hate milky coffee.
Oh, too milky.
Too milky. Yeah.
So you want it to taste like coffee? And
Yeah. There's so many places, we were talking about it earlier.
Yeah.
On the Sunshine Coast back in the day, it's changed now and the levels improved, but they were just milky coffee.
Milky coffee everywhere. And if you did taste the coffee, it was roasty, like over roasted coffee.
Yeah.
Like really dark, heavy roasted.
Yeah.
So it's a real fine line between, and especially coffee, unfortunately, can get lost in milk. If it's roasted too light, or the structure, the cellular structure of the bean hasn't been penetrated in the roast profile, and the roaster's under roasted it, then it'll get lost as well. So
How important
It's a
is
fine
milk
line.
in the, like something like a latte, for example? Like,
it's huge. Like you make a standard latte, you're using 21 grams of coffee, you're then splitting that between 2 cups. So essentially only using 10.5 grams per side, per spout. And that's going into your cup. So, from a weight point of view, you're extracting about 20 grams out per spout. So 40 grams in total, roughly.
Yeah.
And so the amount of liquid in there is only about 35 to 40 mils, maybe a little bit more. And then as a latte, you're adding 200 mils of milk.
Yeah.
So predominantly the drink is milk.
Yeah.
So if you don't texture the milk correctly to balance well with the espresso, it's going to taste off, and it's the espresso won't cut through it.
Yeah.
And have a good balance between the milk and the coffee.
I get very angry at my wife when she like, we stick to a certain brand of milk for latte.
Yeah.
And if she brings a different one, it's so noticeable.
Yeah.
So like it doesn't heat as well, or it's too foamy or bubbly, or
Exactly. So that's something we can't control. We can't control the fresh milk product in the bottle. So and milk is throughout the year has variances in flavour.
right.
So it depends on whether we get a lot of rain, we don't get a lot of rain, what the cows are eating. Are they grass fed? Are they grain fed? Are they fusion cows? Are they Jersey cows? The type of cow will affect the milk flavour.
Yep.
Is it a blend of both?
Yeah.
So a huge amount is milk based. And if you overheat the milk, you're killing sugars off, and it becomes quite bitter and rancid when you add it to the coffee.
Sure. Sorry, I got off track there with my milk fascination.
That's okay.
Lattes. But back to
You
the
do drink lattes, right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're great from Tim Adams as well. So back to the competitive arena.
Yeah.
What's the vibe like? Does it feel like a boxing ring? Does it feel like there's a bit of like people watching you over your shoulder or?
Well, when I mentioned the sensory judges, so you got 4 sensory judges, then you've got a head judge who oversees all the judges and make sure they're marking you fairly and correctly, and they debrief afterwards as well and whatnot. But then you've got 2 technical judges. This is in 2009, slightly changed now in 2025, 26, but the technical judges are marking your wastage, your cleanliness, your tidiness, how you're reacting on the stage, are you moving too fast, too slow. So all these movements are actually key as well, and how you're speaking and how you're presenting to the judges. So it's a theatre.
Yeah.
It's a stage. It literally is.
Yep.
So you've got lights, you've got cameras, you've got you're getting recorded, you've got people taking photos, and especially at that higher level, like at an Australian type championship, it's all getting filmed. You've got 3 stages, 3 separate stages on the main stage, and 3 separate stations. You've got specific grinders, machines you need to use. The layout where the judges sit is a standard, not a standard height, so it's elevated, so it's a bit higher.
Yep.
And all your working benches are identical per barista station. So
And you're side by side.
there's only one on one at one time, and then another one comes on. So you get 15 minutes to prepare your workstation, dial your coffee in, make sure you're happy, and then soon as you start your time, you then have 15 minutes to present those 12 drinks and tell your story. Like you've got to spell.
15 minutes, 12 drinks.
No, it's not, especially when you're giving content of where the coffee's from, what farm it was from, how it was roasted, the flavor profile, the whole lot. So
And
your story is very important. Yeah. So training for that is, at the high end when I was competing, I was probably training at least 40 hours a week on top of working a normal job.
Presenting to your wife, showing her the versions of
friends, family, whoever I could find.
Really?
Yeah. And setting up my training to be as close to a stage as possible.
Yeah.
So, I'd give myself the 15 minutes. I'd train my 15 minutes of preparation as much as the routine, because when you start that routine, all your prior preparation comes into play. Like you're nervous, you're on stage, you pretty much got to be in the zone and locking in. So the only way to do that is to make sure that when you start your timer for the 15 minutes presentation, all your preparation's been nailed.
Yeah.
So the 15 minutes getting on stage that you get to dial your coffee in is very important.
And did you feel like you'd done the preparation, you'd done the training, so by the time you were there, were you quite confident, or were you still nervous about the judges and the lights?
I was confident because every variable that I knew I had to control prior to that, I'd done the best as I could, the best I knew how.
Yeah.
So then it was like, well, they either love the coffee, love my routine, or they don't. Yeah. And judging on anything is very subjective. Like you can follow criterion rules, but it's also subjective. And what I love in what I was presenting, all 4 judges may not love.
Yeah.
So it's you and your judgment call on what you've selected. So
and you've done the work. So you've done it as much as you possibly could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much as I possibly could. So
was there any seated because I imagine you're from Harvey Bay, you're from Queensland, not historically known for its coffee. It's always Melbourne, Sydney, bigger cities.
Yeah.
Did you feel any like, am I supposed to be here, imposter syndrome, or I don't want to put that into your world? But...
No, that's a good question, because I use that as my advantage purely because there was no expectation that Tim Adams from the Sunshine Coast was going to win or do anything. So when I went to the Australians, obviously I was also the Queensland Barista Champion, which got me pretty much straight into the final. But you've got great baristas from Melbourne and Sydney, and in those days it was a champion from all the major states. So we had Australian Territory, New South Wales, South Australia, WA, Northern Territory, and Queensland. And then they had a wild card entry, so 2 others would enter that final. So on the final stage, it could be a combination of 6 baristas from those, state champions plus the open, all wild card entries there. So, and I was very, very unknown, so I just enjoyed it, had fun. I think that made a big difference. I wasn't as nervous because at that point I was like, well, I've done all the work. You know, I just want to enjoy it. And my goal was to learn about coffee and just be welcomed into the industry, I guess, or welcomed into the specialty world.
Yeah.
So that, and I'd sort of achieved that. And I knew walking off the stage, no matter whether I won or lost or didn't come first, I knew that was done.
You proved yourself.
I proved myself to myself, and people would then now know me. Yeah. I mean, if I know my routine, I know people had already previously liked my previous routines at the States. So I was like, well, I'll be getting out of this what I went in to achieve.
Yeah.
And I didn't go in it just to win. It was just a byproduct of that, I guess.
What was that feeling like when you were announced as the winner?
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, it's surprising, but also just, it was bloody amazing. And I think I didn't really appreciate the importance of the title at the time. And I think that was probably, I just hadn't been in that position. And I wasn't mentally prepared to win. So I was like, oh, wow, this is actually really, really cool. But I was a bit lost on what I need to do with that title.
Yeah.
And I'd come from working with a commercial company too. So I didn't have the finer details of specialty when I went on stage for that year. I didn't really know anything much about my coffee at all.
Yeah.
Even.
Wow.
So I just knew.
Must have been good.
It was good. And I think just that, or I think in those days it was down to the barista skills, just that training and just wanting to be the best barista on stage I could.
Yeah.
And I was in those days, all the dose, when you dose coffee now, everything's the grinder we have at the roastery is pre-weighed. Okay. So it gives us 21 grams or 22 grams, whatever. Yeah. We don't even have to weigh it anymore. The coffee comes out perfectly weighed. In those days, it wasn't electronic. I would manually be dosing. So I would time the grinder and turn it on for a certain amount of seconds and then turn it off.
Yeah.
And that would then allow me to get an approximate what the coffee weighed.
Yeah.
And I didn't have scales. I didn't use scales. So my shots and coffee, my skills were much better then than they are now.
Yeah.
Because of that. Purist. In a way, purist, yes.
So my first question was, what was the most difficult moment of your life? And we've started with this, it sounds like you're on top of the world, to be honest. How could it possibly be the most difficult moment of your life? You're Australian Barista Champion.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. It sounds like you are on the path for whatever you want to do from here, really.
Yeah.
So how was it difficult?
We got to remember that I wanted to get out of it to be create more of a learning for myself and elevate myself into the industry and just understand what the industry was, I guess. So when I had a commercial product, I kind of won the Australian title based off that. And then because it wasn't a specialty product, I was kind of caught in a little bit of no man's land where the specialty industry was like, hang on, you just won the Australian Championship with a commercial product, not a specialty. And so it was like I felt that I'd done the wrong thing. And
does the industry really care about that? They really separate those two, do they?
In those days, yeah. And I think I kind of felt that I should have used a specialty product. So when I went to the Worlds, I was like, I need to use a specialty coffee at the World Barista Championship. Yeah. That was important to me. So I reevaluated what I wanted to do at the Worlds and knew that was what I needed to do because I was representing Australia as the Australian Barista Champion as a ASCA representative, the Australasian Specialty Coffee Association. So I'm taking a specialty product. But at the time I was still working for a commercial company.
Right.
So I was in a very tough situation where I wanted to take specialty and that was my goal, but that company couldn't provide that.
Okay. So it was a bit of an identity thing.
A little bit,
You're the commercial guy or the specialty guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. And so at that point I'd sort of had sponsors come in on board to help me get to the Worlds. I was there to represent. And
where are they held?
They change every year.
Yeah.
In 2009 it was Atlanta, Georgia, in the US, which was an experience in itself. And so 2 weeks prior to that, leaving for that competition, I was sort of trying to get a better product out of that commercial company and hopefully get something a little bit more traceable, something I could work with at the world stage. And so I was promised that. And in the end, all I was going to get was a production bag of coffee from their production line.
Right.
So I was just, I just mentioned a second ago about the training that I needed to do in order to get to the Australian Championship, but also what that same training regime had to happen at the Worlds.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks before going to the Worlds, I didn't have a coffee.
Right.
Therefore, I didn't have a routine.
Was there a fair bit of butting heads with you and that company?
Yeah, there was. Yeah. Even though there was a good amount of money on the table as a sponsor,
Yep.
that wasn't important to me.
Yeah.
It was the product that I wanted to take based on my decision, not what they were telling me to take.
Yeah.
So
And they would have loved the fact. Did you win off their product in the last?
in the Australian,
Yeah. So they would have loved the fact that this could be best in the world. Our commercial products.
yeah, that's right.
I'm sure they would have been excited about that.
They would have been, but leading into the Australians, from that company there wasn't a lot. My boss helped me out at the time, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
But the larger company behind it didn't really help me win the Australians.
Yeah.
Didn't really support much at all. So I did that off my own back and through my employer at the time.
Yeah.
So he was like, once I won, then all of a sudden they wanted to know me and help me, give me heaps of money to prepare. And I was like, look, I don't need the money. What I need is product.
Yeah.
Because what I'm entering is super important as a world stage, and I want to take the best. I want to put my best foot forward for my country, and so I don't want to use commercial product. So
Sure. What?
So that is,
We could go down a rabbit hole here, but why is it so hard for a company to make that transition? Why can't they just give you a spread for coffee?
I don't know. That's good.
Sounds.
I'd love to know the answer. Sounds really simple. So yeah. So after. Yeah, so there was a fallout from that, obviously, and I sort of said, look, I'm not going to take this brand or this product. I'm going to go and find my own for another, whoever would be willing to help me at that point.
Yeah.
So, and I remember to get into the lowest point was I had a couple of practice runs before going to the Worlds in Brisbane, and this was 3 weeks, so 2 weeks prior to going to the Worlds, I had the practice run. Then 1 week going, I had another practice run. So 2 weeks prior, I'm ready. The day before, I'd sort of made the decision, because at that point I was like, I can't continue down this. I need something, because I've got to go on stage tomorrow as a practice run in front of everyone in Brisbane. Like, I need to make sure I've got something.
Yeah.
So I had the chat with my boss to say, look, I'm going to use a different product. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
And so at that point, we had to part ways at that moment.
All right.
Like literally before I went down to Brisbane.
How did he take that concession?
Yeah, not well. Yeah. So
Right. So you're jobless now and going into
jobless, no routine, no coffee, and then a heap of sponsorship money got pulled from under me. Which it is what it is. I still had the Australian specialty scene helping me because as the Australian champion, you obviously get some funds to help you go. So that was okay. And I had Da Vinci Syrups support me. I had Cafetto support me. Obviously my family helped out as much as they could. But we got there. And so, I remember performing in front of a large group of people as the Australian champion on that Saturday, 2 weeks prior to going, and it was the worst experience of my life. Like, I didn't have a routine, so I was trying to make it up, and I was stumbling and fumbling. It's really, really bad.
Right.
The worst experience.
Do you think people know? Like, you had a lot of people watching, and
do I think that they noticed?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, it was that bad. I'd say yes. And then I remember going backstage and the judges walked in and said, "Is everything okay?" I just burst into tears.
No.
And I was like, "No, it's not. I'm not okay. I've got nothing. I don't know what to do. I don't have a routine. I don't have the coffee. I don't have the support. I don't feel like I've got the support." And my wife and I are like, "Is this it for us? Is this industry even for us?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
This is a competition. Like, and it's literally destroyed me."
Yeah.
But the community at that time just rallied and got behind me. The Queensland coffee community got behind me to get me to the Worlds. I had a roaster step in and help, allowed me to use their training facility, which was in Brisbane, because I didn't have a facility up here anymore because my job had gone. So where I was training got taken away.
Right. So the Australian champion barista without a coffee machine, training facility, job.
No future. I was like, what am I going to do? And you know, without hating my life, I wouldn't have got. There were even talking about going back to the Navy because I did 4 years in the Navy prior. Which,
how long of a stretch was it of being unemployed and in this world of the unknown?
Oh, at that point, well, I guess the good thing about it at that moment is that I could just I had two options. I could either just pull out of the world completely and not bother, or I could just get my shit together, rally myself, and just train as hard as I can for 2 weeks. And that's what I did. So I chose that option, thank goodness. And so I was driving to Brisbane every day to train, learn a routine. So I had to learn the routine, learn my coffee, learn everything about what I wanted to present. So I would end up sleeping on training room floors at night, getting up first thing in the morning to start training again. And I just did it round and round the clock. And when I went to the Worlds, it was still to this day probably one of the, and I've done a routine since that at other Australian championships, but it's still, what I presented was very Australian, very authentic. I used, you know, one of the coffees in my blend was grown in Australia. So it was a beautiful thing to take to a world stage.
Nice. So you're proud of what you...
So very proud, yeah.
Yeah. Despite all the rough training and the roller coaster ride.
The roller coaster ride, yeah. And even when the competition had finished, I was still jobless. Like I still didn't... A few offers started to come in and you know, I could take advantage of, but Katie and I were like, well, we need to come back to Australia and really figure out what we wanted to do. Yeah.
So I assume Katie's got another job at this point. She's employed elsewhere.
Yes.
Or you're both going, what do we do?
No, Katie had it. Yeah, she was breadwinning.
So where how did those discussions look when you got back to Australian turf? What do we do from here? Where do we go? Where did that love of coffee come back, I guess, to go down that direction?
I think I guess like I mentioned, I spent 4 years in the Navy, and in the Navy it was I worked very hard. Like I worked to a point where, you know, I wanted to live and breathe the Navy. So when I did my recruit school, I had excellent, you know, results from just learning about the Navy itself. Then I went to commercial cookery school as part of the Navy, and I was Dutch on my class there. So I just started to throw everything in the Navy. I wanted to throw everything into what I did, no matter what it is. So I think, you know, coming back, we thought, well, what's next? Do we even want to stay in coffee? Do we want to go join the Navy again and just, you know, move away from it?
Surely the opportunities were pretty, like you said, to use that title as a vehicle for the next stage. Like, I'm going to say easy, but
no,
were the things landing on your lap a little bit?
There were, yeah. And I think when we get back and the emotions taken out of it, and the shock of what happened, and that roller coaster ride settles, it's like, well, you know, I learned resilience, and I learned to just get back up, and you know, it's okay. Like something will work out.
Yep.
And
it doesn't always feel like that, does it?
Doesn't.
But it's amazing how, like, I often feel this, like, I like to have that mantra, no matter what, everything's going to be okay. And, you know, I believe that.
Yeah.
But there's times when I don't. And it could be a Monday. Well, by Wednesday, I could be feeling better, you know? Like, it can change quickly. A day can feel like the darkest day, but the next day could be a bit better.
Yeah.
Like, how long did it take you to feel like, no, everything is going to be okay?
You know what? A few months, I reckon. And the other thing is, when I won the Australian title, I was the best barista in Australia for that bit, because that's the title you won. But I didn't feel it. Like, I felt like I entered the competition to actually learn more about coffee, not be the guy that everyone comes to for advice. And so I was like, well, okay, what do I need to do? I need to find a job somewhere where I can let's just start from scratch.
Yeah.
Let's just start learning about coffee from scratch and build from there. And that's what I did. So a friend of mine got me a job at a local roastery, and I was like, okay, I'm going to spend at least the next 12 months figuring out what we want to do in coffee. And
Did they not just whack up Australian barista
yeah,
the win?
yeah. It's like we've got the Australian Barista Championship. I was a good barista, don't get me wrong. I did know about coffee and I knew about coffee and knew how to work the product, but I wanted to know more, right? So then I just started deep diving into, origin and where coffee actually started and where it came from and what made it taste the way it did, why different single origins taste different to the next one, why does a farm taste different, from where it's positioned on a mountain, like what the altitude affects it. Like there was so much more to learn. So I just started peeling back the onion and ended up competing again the next 2 years after that. So I got back on the horse and I'm super grateful for that moment, even though it was rock bottom. It's like, the strength to come out of that is like, well, I can very much tackle anything. Like I'm going to tackle anything. I'll get my way out of it. And I've been a lot, over the last 15 years, there's a lot of stressful situations that have come, my way and Katie's way, but we work through it. It's like we work through it and now that resilience, we've learnt it and I try and, educate my children on the same thing and my team members and just maybe be a better human.
Yeah.
Because
you've got a knowing now that it will be okay.
Yeah, and the community helped me. There were people who were still reaching out, and not for any financial benefit from me as the Australian champion, but just to help. And that was awesome for me. And it's like, well, there's a good people out there, and I want to be one of those people, and I want to be one of those. I've got this title. I won it on the Sunshine Coast, so let's give back, and that's what we started to do. And fast forward to where we are now, I've done pretty much everything in coffee.
Let's start at the start of Tim Adams then, shall we?
Can I just jump back 1 second?
Yeah.
Katie and I, what helped us get out of that is that we started working for that 12 months.
Yep.
And then it was like, well, outside of what just happened, what do we want to do now? And so we wrote a list of, okay, let's do an espresso bar. Let's one day do a roastery. Let's one day travel to Origin. Let's one day buy a farm. Let's one day train X amount of people to compete themselves. Let's try and win more titles. And I moved house about 2 years ago and we're unpacking an old box and literally we found that list and this is nearly 10 years down the track and literally tick, 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 tick.
Wow.
We achieved all that.
Yep.
So that's the positive out of that. It's like, 10 years down the track, we actually nailed everything on that list.
Yeah.
And that felt pretty good.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
there's a power in writing things down, isn't there? And just getting it out of your head and onto paper.
I think so. Just, and visualizing and believing in it and going, what, I'm going to think about this. The more I think about it, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because it's got to happen. I'm going to make it happen,
Katie sounds like an amazing person. Someone who's
Charles and sweetheart, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There you go.
Met in grade 8.
Oh, really? In Harvey Bay?
In Harvey Bay, yeah.
Coffee shop?
No. School. Might have been home ec.
So how did you start Tim Adams together? I guess you and Katie, you wrote things down on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
But what are those first steps, first days like of actually starting a business?
Well, we didn't have a lot of money. So one thing we didn't know is that I wanted to make coffee and I wanted to understand, I wanted a roastery eventually, but I wanted to understand what the consumer loved. And I wanted to start to bridge the gap between the commercial coffee that was being sold a lot throughout Queensland and Sunshine Coast at that time, and how do I start to bridge that gap and really start to educate the market about the specialty market. And so that was the only way to do that was actually to physically talk to customers. And that's one of the reasons I became a barista or wanted to be in coffee is because it's very front of house. If I stuff up Tom's latte at the roastery,
Know about it.
I'm going to know about it because you're going to walk in the next day and say, hey, yesterday tasted off, man. What did you do? You can't do that to a chef. I can't walk into, one of my favorite restaurants and then go, oh, hey, last night I had pizza and it was foul. You wouldn't just go back.
Very transparent.
Yeah.
Isn't it? You're right there.
Super transparent.
Yeah.
And you got that connection and that people connection is what I wanted as well. So I actually bought a mobile coffee van.
Right.
And
why not a shop? Why?
Great question. Because shop is bricks and mortar. Yeah. You can pretty it up. You can have smoke and mirrors. You can have the best of everything. But you can walk in and still taste like shit. You can have a very fine looking establishment.
Yeah.
But if the raw product isn't great, does it matter?
Yeah.
You know, people are just going to go in there and take a photo.
So
They might do it nowadays, post it on Instagram, but they may not go back.
Yeah.
They're not going to be a repeat customer.
It wasn't the shop front for you. It was the quality of the coffee. It was also,
So if you've stripped everything back, you got a mobile van, I'm literally pulling into driveways. I'm pulling into commercial businesses. I'm pulling into white collar, blue collar, you know, workers, and just pulling the back of the van up. It's just me and them.
yeah.
There's not even a counter between us because the machine's in the back of the Volkswagen.
Yeah.
So it's just me face to face. What do you want? How can I make it? And then I see those customers the next day. What did you like? Yes. And you just start tweaking, refining.
Nice.
Even though I knew how I wanted to present it, I learned the value of the dollar because I'm getting that dollar exchange straight away.
Yeah. And what are those early days like being that transparent? I know you're still behind the coffee machine some days, every now and then, but what were those days like where you were just so close to the customer?
Bloody lovely. Like, it was really nice because you got to, the coffee is all about people, and you're connecting with people daily, and the human touch. There's no AI involved. There's no videos. There's no lights. There's no cameras. There's nothing involved except you and the customer. So it's really nice to hear people's stories and help them out if they have a problem, or hear about their weekend, but actually care about their weekend because you've got to know them. And so from that, it was like, well, I really like what I'm doing. I like where we're going. And now it's time to start wholesaling to partners, because I was doing wholesale previous to that in my old job. So
You knew that side of the business.
yeah, I knew that side of the business really well. Yeah. But I wanted to learn more about the barista side and then make more coffee for people and then start to wholesale off the back of that. But then share what I know about coffee and give that connection through our brand and deliver it to people's cafes. So that's why we started to do both, is build the wholesale brand and try and build the brand and not just have Tim Adams, the barista, well known. Because then, being the Australian champion, everyone kind of knew me. It was like, well, how do we build a brand off the back of that?
Yeah. How was the trajectory of the business in all those senses? Was it just up and up, or was it, this isn't working, let's tweak it? Is this a good idea? Or were you just off and running? Made sense.
Off and running made sense. It's like, I had a high profile business coach tell me in 2010, do not buy that van. That's a bad idea because you're buying yourself a job. And I was like, yes, I want a job. I want to buy myself a job, and I want to take that job and elevate it as wherever I want to.
Yeah.
And being mobile and flexible gave me that ability, because I wanted to do the wholesale, and I also wanted to do the retail, I guess, off and make coffee day to day for people. And I needed cash, I needed money, and I needed cash flow, and that gave me all that.
Yep.
Or gave us all that. And then so that, connecting with people and just being honest and being true about the product. Because then my customers are honest with me about what they're drinking if they didn't like it. So for me, it was like, well, how do I was good at training people. So I started training our customers and building the wholesale, cafe by cafe, literally bean by bean, almost bag by bag.
I have to ask this, when and you talk about educating customers, when someone asks for a really extra hot coffee, is that the right, do you go, yeah, okay, or are you sure you want it that hot because it might burn the beans?
Yeah, we don't get asked in those days, yes. But now people I think we've hopefully trained. Yeah, I hope we're past that. Yeah. I think we're well and truly past that, I think.
Yeah.
If people want an extra hot, I just take it to an extra 10 degrees. Like, you take it to a 75 degree level where it's not burning the milk, it's hot.
Right on the.
And if that person's paying $5.50, $6 for a coffee, I'm gonna present what they want.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll hang shit on them and say, this is what you want an extra on, as opposed to the cold coffee we normally do.
How far has coffee and cafe culture come on the Sunshine Coast? I mean, we were talking about it before. I came here from Victoria in 2008. There wasn't much going on. I would say it was probably all commercial coffee.
Yeah.
Stuff. There were very hot coffee, very milky coffees going around.
Yeah.
Coming back to the coast in 2013-ish, started to see a bit of a change, and you were probably a big part of that.
Yeah.
How far have we come?
I would say the Queensland collectively is as good. The quality in a lot of places now is the bar is very high, and it's as good as most capital cities. And there's a lot of cafes now, as you probably well aware. Like, so the level has to be good because you're competing against a lot of other cafes. There's options for people.
Yeah.
The home barista is even great. Like, people come in and ask all sorts of crazy questions about making coffee at home because the content is available on the World Wide Web, and there's just so much education out there now. But that's what we wanted, wasn't it? Like, we wanted better coffee, and we wanted to pay farmers more for coffee. Like, that was also a massive driving force for me in Tim Adams, is to, you know, that's one of my biggest drivers now even. But yeah, I think, you know, overall the average coffee is just phenomenal. Like, it really is. And I think also, Tom, the coffee coming into Australia is a lot better too.
Yeah.
So the quality of green coffee we're getting is so much better.
Okay.
So much better prepped, so much better looked after at origin that,
Yeah.
you know, and there's a lot more importers bringing good coffee into Australia, whereas in those days there wasn't. It was a lot of containers of commercial stuff.
We're becoming more conscious as a society in Australia, but probably the world, of where our products come from.
Like that farm to plate sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, people want to know, but they want to know what's in it because of a lot of reasons, but just good traceability and knowing that your coffee's doing good somewhere. You know, that if you're choosing a Tim Adams product, I can hand on heart say you're contributing to hundreds and hundreds of producers worldwide. Like, I know that because I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've touched their farms, I've touched their trees, their soil. I'm invested in them as much as they're invested in me. So, you know, when I see a Tim Adams cup randomly walk past me on the weekend, it's just a real proud moment because I know that cup's making a difference.
Yeah.
Because I'm in control of that difference, and that's really special for me.
So you and Katie ticked the box of, you know, Tim Adams business, from mobile. You did it to different cafes and started your own cafe, but you had that check mark on your list to go overseas as well, to do those origin travels.
Yeah.
Why was that important to you? Like, why did you want to do that? You could just, you know, make it here on the coast, but why did you want to get overseas and see where it came from?
Well, when we created Tim Adams, it was to share knowledge and share information and grow that specialty community. I could not grow that without the authenticity of knowing where the coffee came from and visiting origin, visiting, you know, a producing country. It was just so important. It was a dream of mine to do it. So in 2015, when I did go on that first trip, it was like this, it just reawakened me, you know, like it almost rebirthed me in a way and into coffee. It was just, you know, it's just.
Did it get you excited about
Absolutely
the business again?
Yeah.
So
it did. And you know, the whys made more sense because the why we do it makes such a difference.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot of roasters in our industry who talk a lot about that, but don't actually actively do it. And it shits me because it's okay. Just go and do it. If you're not going to do it, that's fine, but don't say you're doing it or saying you're sustainable when you're not contributing to origin as much as you should.
Okay.
You know, and I hand on heart say all my competitors do what I'm like, take a leaf out of my book and I encourage you to go to origin and be a part of the raw product where it starts from. Because for me, you feel like you're a bit of an imposter if you don't.
Right. You feel so much more connected to the product.
Yeah, because it's a community based. Like, it's a cafe is community based. Like, everything's people based and community based in what we do.
Take us to that first origin trip for you. From getting on the plane, landing in the country. Where was it? What did it feel and smell like?
Prior to going, I researched where we're flying into because, you know, it was. I did a Colombian trip and a Honduras trip. And at the time in 2015, they weren't, you know, you would be advised not to travel there by yourself because they were particularly dangerous spots within those countries. And I remember Katie was saying, well, where are you going? I don't really want you to go to Central now. It seems dangerous. Are you sure? I'm like, look, I'm going with some reputable people. I traveled with Sasha Sestic, who at the time was a World Barista Champion, and he's a very close friend of mine. I said, look, I'm going with Sash. It's okay. He's been before. It's totally fine. And so Katie and I are researching Honduras in general, and where are you flying into? Tegucigalpa? No, that's the capital. Okay, well, where are you flying into? We're flying into San Pedro Sula. Google San Pedro Sula, comes up as one of the most dangerous cities in the world. Like almost top 1 to 2. It's like, you're not going. And I'm like, no, I'm going. It's okay. It's going to be okay. So that was like, at that point I knew that I have to have my wits about me. Like I took it another layer of, I guess, safety came into mine, and so I thought, well, I better do things right. And we flew in, and like, I guess an origin trip, the thing for me is you're not going as a tourist. So you can visit a lot of countries as a tourist or on a holiday, but essentially you're not really diving deep into the culture of the communities you're visiting. Like you don't really experience the day-to-day life of from those sort of countries or other countries.
At a hotel or a bar or a resort.
Yeah. Surfing trip, your shopping trip, or you're going to a tourist destination where you're looking at something. But, origin is the ground roots of that country. You're learning about their culture. You're learning about the food they eat. You know not to drink the water. You're protecting yourself, and you get to see how they live. And
you're in a regional, rural area.
So regional, yeah. So Santa Barbara was the first region we visited in Honduras. And I remember driving to the mountain, and it was just this beautiful, it was the biggest mountain I've ever seen in my life, and thick. And one half of the mountain was sunny, and the other half had thick, dense rain clouds just hovering over it and really clouding over it. And I was like, wow. And I was just expecting King Kong to jump out of it at the top of it.
Yeah.
And so it was this massive climb up, and it was just absolutely stunning. Just to simply remember that it just smelled like origin. Like I can't describe what it smelled, but there was just every little hut that we drove up had their own little fire burning. So it was just smoke and, wood fires and hardly electricity for the local communities. And it was just really, it was just eye-opening.
All the people you're seeing on the side of the roads or in this community, are they living off coffee? Like, is that the main income? Or?
Yeah, mainly, yeah. In those little growing regions, mainly it's coffee. Coffee's their life, yeah. Yeah. So harvesting coffee is a tough gig. And that mountain can be quite brutal. And I've since learnt that upon revisiting, because I've been back many times. I think Honduras is the most frequent country I've visited because it's very special to me. And big, I guess, because of that was my first introduction, but also just the people welcoming me to be there was amazing. But I've seen producers have a beautiful flourishing farm one year and the very next year produce no coffee.
Okay. Due to weather.
Yeah. So frost on that thing I think it was 2017 or 18, frost hit Santa Barbara very hard, and a lot of producers lost their whole yearly income.
What do they do to survive, to live skinny?
They borrow off banks, or they borrow off family, or they just go without, and so it's like, well, this is the hardship, but this is brutal. And some of the farms we worked with, our Chicola project donated money to them as well, like donated for new trees, fertilizers, a little bit of infrastructure. And the next year they produced no cherries after we sort of just done those donations. And I had people say, well, why'd you bother? Like, you're not going to do that again. I'm like, that's the reason I should be doing it.
Yeah.
It's not helping to then try and get something personally out of it.
Yeah.
Like from a financial reward, it's like, I want to help.
Yeah.
I want to try and help. And we just know that you can do it one year, but you need to keep doing it. Like, you need to keep contributing.
That first trip you did, what was the aim? Was it just to learn more? Was it a business partnership to do with one of the farms, or?
Mainly to learn. Yeah, mainly to learn. But the specific reason Sasha took us on that trip was to expose a larger Australian buying community. When I say buying, like roasters who buy coffee, so green bean buyers. And that was part of my job as well for our company. So he wanted to expose that mountain produces coffee a little bit later than the rest of Honduras. So they produce coffee sort of from March, they start sort of picking through to March, April, May. And then June, they sort of wanted to start shipping. But a lot of the buying, when you go visit the country, you're normally buying product or green coffee around March. Okay. So I'm due to go in 2 weeks back.
Okay.
So that's March. So that's the buying season.
Yep.
So the late harvest misses that. So a lot of the coffee is already sold previously, and the container's already starting to move.
Yep.
So Sash was like, I need to take people there to expose these buyers to these coffees on this mountain because they're phenomenal. The quality is phenomenal. But because they keep missing the buying part of the main buying season, their coffees that end up getting sold locally for a quarter of the price.
Right.
So they're not getting true value for their worth and their quality.
Yep.
So he created the late harvest auction, and that was the very test run for the late harvest.
Yeah, and opening that up to the world.
Yeah, in a way, yes.
Yeah.
And it's particularly the Australian market because Sasha knew we would love the coffee, which we get.
Yeah.
And I've been buying coffee from that region every year ever since, as much as I can.
Wow.
Yeah. So that I didn't know that at the time, but I was still a bit, I'm on an origin trip, how exciting is this? So I'm kind of caught up in the clouds a little bit. But when I finished that trip, I was like, wow, that meant something to those producers. This is something I need to keep doing.
Yeah.
You know, so
how many times have you been back since?
15, 16 times, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you do it yearly now, every year, or you had a couple of years?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, obviously, because of COVID, it sort of ceased that a little bit. And I left it for a year or two, even when we could travel again.
Yeah.
Purely because I was trying to get everything, the focus needed to be keeping the business going, keeping people employed, keeping everyone caffeinated, I guess. So, I've been back. It's 3 years in a row back again. So yeah, we're looking at another trip in May as well to visit the late harvest and taste those coffees again. And I own a farm there now too. So
nice. I'll get into the Chipotle project. I wanted to check. You opened with this is the most dangerous place in the world.
Yeah.
Does it actually feel like that once you're there, or like would you take your kids and family there for a nice holiday, or how dangerous is it? Do you have any hairy stories?
That year was fine. Like I
don't want to give it a
actually
but
we were escorted by the police in Colombia that year.
Okay.
So we went to Colombia that same trip, and we were having a cuffing session, and I looked outside, and there was like 14 police with armed policemen out monitoring the actual cupping lab to make sure that
you were okay.
It's like such what's going on here. It's like, well, we're visiting, we're different to the locals, and they want to protect us because it's not safe. I'm like, okay, so we're tasting all these coffees, buying coffees, and literally have armed police out the door.
That made it feel a bit safer.
I felt safer, yeah. But it was actually 3 years down the track on a trip, same spot, Honduras. And prior to going, we were warned that it was safe to travel, but there was some internal logistic, I guess, not riots, but
there could be riots.
Internal
riots.
Yeah, there was some tax levy put on fuel. There was a fuel levy put on trucks driving around the country and shipping around the country. So
lucky rolling coffee.
And so lucky me. But when we landed, they were like, "Oh, yeah, there's an X amount of time, all the streets are going to be boarded up by the freighting companies." Wow. So like they had trucks blocking all the roads, so you couldn't get anywhere. Right. So we hit one of these protesting points.
Yeah.
And so we pulled up, and there's like 2 trucks blocking in, and the protesters were balaclavas on and no shirts.
Any weapons or no?
Some weapons, yes. Some weapons. And I was like, oh, this just feels a bit yuck, And I'm in a car with my business partner, Pedro, and I said to him, "It's feeling a bit dicey to you." He's like, "Yeah, it doesn't feel quite right." And we're heading up to Santa Barbara, heading up to the mountain again, and we just left San Pedro Sula, so it was kind of like on the way. So we're in a little town that I wasn't super familiar with, and there was cars trying to get around the trucks. And I remember this car pulled up, and they wouldn't let him pass. And there's about 5 guys literally started jumping on his car, smashing the window, lighting fires on fire sticks and threatening to burn his car if he wouldn't stop, because it was part of he was breaking the protest. And I was like, this is bad. Anyway, that simmered off, thankfully, and the road's opening. It was plain protesting as well, so I kind of felt like it was going to be okay anyway. But when that happened, I was like, no, you just got to play the game. Like, just stop, protest, let them protest, then they'll open the roads and away you go.
Okay.
And that's what happened in the end.
Yeah.
And then we got to another protest about an hour away as we're getting close to the mountain then, and the traffic was stopped. And I remember Jorge Lanza Jr. said to me, I'm just going to go for a walk and see why they stopped it, because the protesting should be finished.
Yeah.
And he left us in the car with his 4-year-old kid, and she couldn't speak English.
Yeah.
And James and I sitting in the back of the car with this little girl, and he's wandered off. And we're like, what if the shit hits the fan again? What do we do? And it was like, a very uncomfortable moment. But he came back like 20 minutes later. So I know it's all good. There's something wrong with the road up ahead. And I'm like, well, thank goodness, because I didn't think this guy was coming back.
Yeah. Left you with a bit of responsibility.
Yeah. Left me with an adopted Honduran girl.
So tell me, what is the Chipola project? What's that all about, and why did you do it?
In 2015, on that first trip, I was with a group of other baristas from Australia, and we sort of came to the realization that things were hard in these growing countries. Is there a way, apart from buying coffee, that we can help somehow? And so we came up with the idea that surely we can get together, and we all own individual roasteries, which is fine. And maybe we just identify a producer once a year that we can gather money and gather, maybe tip money or grab some money from online sales or through kilos or kilos sold or something like that, pull it up at the end and then donate it back to this producer with no obligation from that farmer. Like, they can do what they want with it.
Okay. Just support the community.
Yeah, support the community and starts to give back and just create sustainability in what we're doing and give back, I guess.
Yep.
And so we all kind of thought that was an amazing idea. And Jorge Lanza Sr. Showed us a little sprout, like the very first seedling that comes out of the ground. And in Honduras, they call it the Chipola. And we're like, oh, it's such a cool name. It's like the very beginning. It's the start of a coffee seed.
Yep.
And so that led to Chipola Project.
Cool.
And so as a group, we decided to do this, but it never got off the ground in the first 12 months. Like, we were all kind of just doing our own thing, and it was just a bit hard to send money back to Honduras. So it was challenging for the first 12 months.
Yeah.
But we were like, as Tim Adams Fresh Tea Coffee, let's keep doing it.
Yeah.
And let's stick to this, stick to our word, and let's start to help give back.
Yeah.
And so, we've been giving back to Origin at different levels. We've done some projects in Brazil, Nicaragua, Honduras, and we try and identify what we can do. Every time we visit, we try and identify what possibly is the need rather than just give money, because you want the producer to actually get something from that.
Yeah.
Because they're getting some funds from us buying their coffee anyway. So it's like, well, if we're going to donate or contribute back, what do they need?
Yeah.
And so it's about identifying points of purpose and then making sure that is actually happening. So we've built raised patios, so patio drying beds for producers. We've done special sprays to help them with disease and rust prevention. We've done fertilization donations. We've done little nursery growing, so like little baby plants for their nurseries. We've helped contribute towards that. Toilets, running water, houses. What else have we done? General extra money before harvest, so they can act like prepay for the coffee almost, just so they can start paying their pickers and processors for pre-harvest techniques. So it's done a lot of stuff and a lot of different things, and every year will be a little bit different to the next, which is really exciting as well.
How does it make you feel when you go back to these countries now and you see it with your own eyes that this money is going towards helping families essentially in a far-flung part of the world?
It feels like we can, even though we're this big on the world of coffee, we're contributing a lot to someone, and I think that's what makes it feel good, is because it may not seem a lot to me, but to the producer or the family, it's a massive amount. Even visiting, you can see it on their face that the appreciation they have for you seeing what they do and, you know, noticing them goes a long way.
Yeah.
They produce better coffee for it.
Yep.
And that's amazing. Like that we can do that, you know, and have the ability to do that. Yeah.
We've ticked off starting a business. We've ticked off Origin travels with Katie. You've also got the amazing roastery here in Warana. It's our local coffee shop just down the road, which is amazing. It is an awesome, it is really set the bar for what you can do on the Sunshine Coast or anywhere really, I guess.
Yeah.
Was that always a dream? And how does it feel now seeing it, you know, that bricks and mortar there? And I love how you've also got the glass where you can see through to the roastery and see it all happening out the back as well. If you haven't been at Tim Adams in Warana, go check it out. It's quite cool.
Yeah.
And Dale's amazing. He's an amazing barista, planning a coffee machine. Yeah. But how's that feel seeing that now and living and breathing?
I'd say that surreal. Like because the business does so much for so many people. Like I think that's also makes it feel natural and authentic. Like it just feels authentic. And you mentioned the glass window. We wanted to make sure that when people come in, they saw what was happening in our production as well. No hiding. Like if we're there, this is what we do. We say we do it and we deliver. Like that's important to us as well, that we're showcasing great coffee and great producers, but the quality is there and the way we move coffee is there and how we source coffee is there. The people we employ are there. You can see them and be a part of the action and part of what we do on a really high quality, but in a very approachable way. That's important. I think you want to be able to connect still and be approachable.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a great, like that facility it was the biggest dream on that list, the biggest tip, I guess. Yeah.
And clearly like level of service is high on your priority list because like you always can tell how you're made to feel when you enter, especially in hospitality, right?
Yeah.
That world of service. Do you feel important? Like my uncle owns a restaurant, not a high level restaurant, it's a surf club in fact. So that sort of food. But he when I was a waiter there, he always said everyone walks in this building with a sticker on their forehead that says, "Make me feel important."
Yeah.
And I love that because you can feel that in certain places. Yeah. Some places instinctively do that, and I think yours is one of them. You get your pool sparkling water and your coffee served on a nice timber platter from Dale, and I think that's really important. Is that a conscious thing you do, or is that just rubbed off from you onto your team members?
Probably a bit of both. I think it is intentional, like, you know, and even there's been times throughout, you know, 20 years of working in coffee and hospitality where I know I probably haven't done my best service. Or I've let a wholesale customer down for whatever reason. And it makes me feel bad. Like it makes me feel awful that I didn't recognize them or hear them or listen to them. And so it's about just having that moment and connecting. Like it's very important that you still connect with people. Don't go through your phone. Like you can get distracted by so many things. And what I have learned from having that roastery bar, for example, is when I walk into the bar, I need to remember that. Don't worry about what email I need to send.
Yes.
Focus on that moment and focus on being in. If I'm walking through there, I know I need to be on to be able to share what I know with whoever's there.
Yeah.
Because they would like to, even if it's for a second, just try and, like I've seen you sitting there, I'll wave and say hi.
Yeah.
Because I know you and I've seen you before and it's like, I want you to know I might be busy, but I can still say hi.
Yeah.
That's not hard.
Yeah.
I can be stressed, but hey, how you going?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Just look someone in the eye.
Yeah.
Like they've chosen to sit there. And so you know, it's important for me personally, like, you know, and I hope that anyone who's working within our company, we're working in a cafe or whatever, is going to do the same thing for that customer.
Yeah.
You know,
you've done an incredible job there. What does the future hold for Tim Adams? You've climbed the highest of highs in coffee. Are you going to go back to the World Championships or what's next on the agenda?
Well, I mean, I've coached Tilly, who's been with our company for nearly 10 years as well. Like we've got some, you know, good talent within our business, but each year Katie and I try and come up with words for the year, and you know, last year was fortify, like just make everything better, really improve. Mine this year was to do that, but also just make sure that we're still profitable Like, we can get caught up in a lot of stuff, but at the end of the day, we're running a business. We have to be profitable, and I want my customers to learn that as well. Like, price things correctly and do the service right, so you are profitable, because that will then bring that sustainability. That'll naturally come with it as well. So you've got to still fortify what you're doing. Like, it's very important. So we're going to keep doing what we want to do, from a service point of view, but making sure that everyone is winning. Like, our chain is important. So the link in the chain from origin, importer, exporter, barista, the roaster, we all need to be doing well within that chain. And that's important for everything in every industry,
Yeah. It's a win-win.
Win-win. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in today, Tim. It's really inspiring from one business owner to another.
Yeah.
Not only business, but your community sense and giving back, but also the quest for excellence. You can really see that you strive to set the bar really high for everything you do. So really cool. Thank you so much for coming in.
Pleasure, Tom. Anytime.
I love just finishing this question, and that is, where do you find yourself at most peace?
Sunday morning lie-in, because I'm up at 4 every day. Like, I do 4 to 4. So just our family kicks back in what we call our Lego room, and we flick on the TV. We all sleep in there on mattresses like we're camping out, and it's just a nice reset to remember why you're doing things. And it's my family. Like, that's where I'm at peace. Yeah.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tim.
Pleasure.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching the show. This podcast is truly a passion project for me and the small but awesome team behind the scenes. We pour our hearts into bringing you these honest and insightful conversations. But I can't tell you how much it helps when you hit that follow or subscribe button. The show gets bigger, which means we can expand the production, and we can continue to bring in amazing guests from all walks of life. Please help us to do this thing that we love and hit that follow or subscribe button. We appreciate you being here. Thank you.